Immorality is not just a violation of rules or norms, it is the deliberate departure from values that form the foundation of our humanity. It manifests when self-interest takes precedence over collective well-being, when profits outweigh principles, and when convenience is chosen over integrity. It exists in the decisions made for personal gain at the expense of others, and in the silence that allows wrongdoing to persist. Immorality is not always loud or dramatic. Often it is subtle, creeping into our actions through small compromises and overlooked responsibilities. One of the most significant enablers of immorality is indifference. When people choose not to act, to speak, or to care, immorality finds fertile ground. Apathy erodes empathy, and the lack of concern for others perpetuates injustices. It is in the moments we decide that a problem is not ours to solve that immorality takes hold. Turning a blind eye to inequality, exploitation, or harm done to others may not feel like an active contribution to immorality, but it is. Silence and inaction are as much a part of immorality as deliberate wrongdoing. Morality thrives in environments where accountability is absent, but its roots are found within individuals. It begins in the small choices we make daily. Often when no one is watching, it shows up in the justifications we create for actions that contradict our values. It exists in the excuses we use to absolve ourselves of responsibility. These seemingly minor decisions accumulate, creating a culture where immorality is normalized. The path to combat immorality is through an active and intentional effort to reclaim a moral compass. Morality is not something innate that automatically guides us. It is a discipline, one that requires self-reflection and awareness. To act morally, one must consistently ask, are my actions aligned with my values, and am I contributing to a world that is fair? And just these questions may seem simple, but answering them honestly can be challenging. They require confronting uncomfortable truths about our motivations and behaviors. Morality also demands courage. It takes strength to stand up for what is right, especially in the face of opposition. Speaking out against injustice can be difficult, but silence only allows it to continue. Choosing what is moral over what is easy requires resilience and a willingness to face potential backlash. Courage and morality is not about grand gestures, it is about the everyday acts of choosing integrity over convenience and honesty over deceit. Empathy is equally crucial in maintaining morality. It allows us to see beyond our own needs and consider the impact of our actions on others. Empathy bridges the gap between individualism and collective responsibility, reminding us that our choices do not exist in isolation. A lack of empathy often leads to decisions that harm others, whether directly or indirectly. By cultivating empathy, we develop a deeper understanding of the interconnectedness of our actions and their consequences. Morality is not a destination, but a continuous journey. It is not about achieving perfection, but about striving to do better with each decision we make. Each choice, no matter how small, contributes to the moral fabric of our lives and the society we live in. It is in the accumulation of these decisions that the character of individuals and communities is formed. Immorality, on the other hand, grows when we neglect these small but significant choices, allowing compromise to erode our values over time. The fight against immorality is not just about avoiding what is wrong, it is about actively choosing what is right. It is not enough to abstain from harmful actions, we must also work to create a positive impact. This involves holding ourselves and others accountable, fostering environments where fairness and integrity are valued, and ensuring that our actions align with the principles we claim to uphold. It requires vigilance and the constant effort to examine our behavior, challenge our biases, and act in ways that reflect our commitment to morality. Morality at its core is about creating a world that we can be proud of, one where fairness, honesty, and compassion are not just ideals but realities. It is about ensuring that our actions contribute to the greater good, even when it is difficult, inconvenient, or unpopular. This journey is one that requires persistence, courage, and empathy. Each of us has the power to influence the moral direction of our lives and the world around us, and with that power comes the responsibility to act. Immorality is not an inevitability, it is a choice, and so is morality. Immorality grows in the absence of action and care. When people decide to look away or choose not to engage, they allow immoral behavior to persist and even thrive. Indifference isn't just the absence of action, it is the silent enabler of wrongs that might otherwise be challenged. It takes the form of excuses such as "this isn't my problem" or "I can't make a difference," but these thoughts dismiss the profound impact that small efforts can have. Indifference not only allows immorality to continue, it emboldens it by signaling that no resistance will come. Every time someone ignores an injustice or chooses not to get involved, they contribute to an environment where wrongs can flourish unchallenged. This might seem harmless in isolated cases, but over time, indifference becomes the foundation upon which systemic issues are built. It allows exploitation, discrimination, and inequality to persist because it removes the collective voice that could otherwise call for change. Immorality, in many cases, survives on the silence and inaction of those who know better but choose not to act. Indifference also erodes our ability to empathize with others. By distancing ourselves from the struggles and pain of those around us, we lose sight of the shared humanity that connects us all. This disconnection makes it easier to justify inaction because we no longer see others' suffering as something that concerns us. It allows us to rationalize behaviors that are self-serving or apathetic, even when they directly or indirectly harm others. The danger of indifference is that it feels easier than action. Speaking out or standing up against immorality can be uncomfortable or risky, while doing nothing feels safe. However, this false sense of safety comes at a high cost. It not only perpetuates harm, but also diminishes our own sense of responsibility and integrity. Indifference may shield us from immediate discomfort, but it leaves behind the lasting consequences of a world where wrongs are left unopposed. Fighting indifference begins with recognizing its role in enabling immorality. It requires an active decision to care and to take responsibility, even when it feels inconvenient or uncomfortable. This doesn't mean solving every problem or fixing every injustice alone. It means refusing to ignore them. It means being willing to ask difficult questions and to confront the ways in which our own choices and behaviors may contribute to the very issues we wish to avoid. Taking action against indifference is not always about grand gestures or sweeping changes. Often it starts with small but meaningful efforts, having conversations, educating ourselves and others, and showing up for causes that matter. It is in these small acts of care and resistance that the seeds of change are planted. Each decision to act, no matter how small, adds to the collective force needed to challenge immorality and create a world where fairness, justice, and compassion prevail. Empathy plays a critical role in overcoming indifference. When we allow ourselves to feel for others, to understand their struggles and joys, we reconnect with the values that make us human. Empathy bridges the gap between knowing about a problem and caring enough to address it. It reminds us that our actions or lack thereof have real consequences for real people. By cultivating empathy, we not only combat indifference, but also strengthen our commitment to living in alignment with our values. Courage is also essential in confronting indifference. It takes bravery to stand up for what is right, especially in a world where speaking out can invite criticism or opposition. Yet it is through acts of courage, big and small, that change becomes possible. Courage isn't about never feeling fear, it's about acting despite it. It's about choosing to care, even when apathy feels easier. Morality is not a fixed state or an innate quality, it is a practice. It is a series of choices made day by day, moment by moment. Every time we decide to care, to act, to stand up for what we believe in, we contribute to a world where immorality cannot thrive. Indifference, on the other hand, is the slow erosion of this practice. It is the steady decline into a state where values are neglected and wrongs are ignored. Refusing to be indifferent requires vigilance and effort. It means paying attention to the world around us and being willing to engage, even when it's uncomfortable. It means holding ourselves accountable for the ways in which our actions or lack thereof affect others. It means choosing again and again to act with integrity and compassion, even when it feels difficult or inconvenient. Morality thrives on indifference, but it is not unstoppable. It can be challenged and overcome by individuals who refuse to look away, who choose to care, and who take even the smallest steps toward creating a better world. By rejecting indifference and embracing responsibility, we can ensure that immorality does not go unchallenged. We can create a culture where fairness, justice, and humanity are not just ideals, but realities, upheld by the collective actions of those who choose to care. Immorality does not exist in a vacuum. It begins within individuals and is shaped by the choices we make every day. It is not solely about grand, overtly unethical acts, but also the small decisions that betray our values and contribute to a larger culture of wrongdoing. These decisions often come disguised as convenience, pragmatism, or necessity, but at their core, they reflect a failure to uphold principles that should guide us. Personal responsibility means acknowledging that our actions, no matter how insignificant they may seem, have consequences. It is the recognition that every choice we make either contributes to a world of integrity and fairness or undermines it. This responsibility does not begin with others or external circumstances. It starts with us. It starts with the willingness to confront our motives, question our decisions, and take ownership of the impact we have on those around us. Morality thrives when individuals abdicate their responsibility. It is easy to blame circumstances, institutions, or other people for the problems we face, but this deflection only perpetuates harm. Each time we excuse our own behavior by pointing to external factors, we weaken our ability to act morally. By shifting blame, we create a culture of irresponsibility where no one feels accountable, and immorality is allowed to flourish unchecked. It is not enough to simply avoid doing harm. Personal responsibility demands that we actively work to do good. This means holding ourselves to a standard of integrity that does not waver in the face of convenience or self-interest. It means asking difficult questions about whether our actions align with the values we claim to hold and being honest with ourselves when they do not. It is not about perfection, but about a commitment to continuous self-examination and growth. Taking responsibility for our actions also means understanding the ripple effects they have. Even the smallest choices can set off a chain of events that impact others in ways we may not immediately see. For instance, a seemingly harmless act of dishonesty can erode trust, and a moment of apathy can allow an injustice to go unchallenged. Recognizing these ripple effects forces us to consider the broader implications of our behavior and to act with greater care and intention. Personal responsibility is particularly challenging because it requires confronting uncomfortable truths about ourselves. It means admitting when we have been wrong, when we have hurt others, or when we have failed to live up to our own standards. This process is not easy, but it is essential for growth. Avoiding this confrontation may spare us momentary discomfort, but it comes at the cost of our integrity and the harm caused by unresolved mistakes. The practice of personal responsibility also involves resisting the urge to compare ourselves to others. It can be tempting to justify our actions by pointing out the greater wrongs committed by someone else. However, morality is not a competition, and the existence of worse behavior does not absolve us of our own lapses. True responsibility means holding ourselves accountable regardless of what others are doing. It means striving to be better, not because we are compelled by comparison, but because it is the right thing to do. Courage plays a crucial role in personal responsibility. It takes bravery to admit when we are wrong, to make amends, and to change our behavior. It takes courage to hold ourselves accountable, especially when it would be easier to deflect or deny. This courage is not about grand gestures, but about the quiet strength required to face ourselves honestly and act accordingly. Empathy is another essential component of personal responsibility. By putting ourselves in others' shoes and considering how our actions affect them, we develop a deeper understanding of the importance of moral behavior. Empathy reminds us that our choices are not made in isolation and that their consequences ripple outward, touching the lives of those around us. This awareness motivates us to act with greater care and to prioritize the well-being of others alongside our own. Responsibility is not limited to individual actions. It also involves recognizing and addressing the systems we are part of. While we may not be able to single-handedly change systemic injustices, we can choose to challenge them rather than perpetuate them. This might mean speaking out against unfair practices, advocating for change, or simply refusing to participate in systems that contradict our values. Each of these actions, no matter how small, contributes to a broader culture of accountability and justice. The journey of personal responsibility is not about achieving perfection or never making mistakes. It is about committing to a process of continuous improvement, learning from our errors, and striving to do better. It is about recognizing that morality is not a fixed state, but a practice, one that requires vigilance and effort every day. Each choice we make, no matter how small, is an opportunity to align our actions with our values and to contribute to a world that reflects the principles we hold dear. Ultimately, personal responsibility is about embracing the power we have to shape the world around us. It is about refusing to be passive in the face of immorality and taking an active role in creating a culture of integrity, fairness, and compassion. By holding ourselves accountable, we not only strengthen our own character, but also set an example for others, inspiring them to do the same. In a world increasingly driven by convenience, profit, and self-interest, the need to reclaim the moral compass is more urgent than ever. This compass, representing the internal guide that aligns our actions with values of fairness, empathy, and integrity, is not something we are inherently born with, but something cultivated through conscious effort. It requires constant attention, reflection, and a commitment to acting in ways that contribute to the greater good. The process of reclaiming the moral compass begins with recognizing where and how we have strayed from it and deciding to recenter our lives around ethical principles. This journey starts with self-awareness. To reclaim the moral compass, one must take an honest look at their actions, choices, and motivations. It requires asking difficult questions about whether our behavior truly reflects the values we profess to hold. This introspection can be uncomfortable, as it often reveals inconsistencies or contradictions between what we say we believe and how we actually behave. However, this discomfort is necessary for growth. It is only by confronting these truths that we can begin to align our actions with our values more consistently. Reclaiming the moral compass also means resisting the pervasive culture of moral relativism, which suggests that there is no objective standard of right and wrong and that all actions can be justified under certain circumstances. While context and nuance are essential to understanding moral dilemmas, allowing them to erode our sense of accountability creates a slippery slope. When everything becomes justifiable, nothing remains sacred. To stay grounded, we must define and hold ourselves accountable to clear principles that guide our decisions, even when doing so is inconvenient or unpopular. Courage plays a crucial role in this process. Following a moral compass often requires standing against the tide of public opinion, resisting pressure to conform, or making choices that are difficult but right. It takes bravery to prioritize what is ethical over what is easy, profitable, or socially acceptable. Courage is not about being unafraid, it is about acting despite fear. It is about valuing integrity and compassion so deeply that they outweigh the risks of doing what is right. Empathy is another cornerstone of reclaiming the moral compass. It is through empathy that we understand the impact of our actions on others and recognize the interconnectedness of our lives. Empathy encourages us to look beyond our own needs and consider how our decisions affect the well-being of those around us. Without empathy, our moral compass becomes self-centered, guiding us only in ways that benefit ourselves rather than serving the greater good. By cultivating empathy, we ensure that our actions reflect not only our own values, but also a genuine concern for the humanity and dignity of others. Reclaiming the moral compass also involves addressing the systems and environments that shape our behavior. Many of the choices we make are influenced by societal norms, institutional structures, and cultural narratives. While these factors can sometimes align with ethical principles, they can just as often promote values that are at odds with integrity and fairness. To follow a moral compass, we must critically examine these external influences and challenge those that perpetuate harm or inequality. This might involve advocating for systemic change, refusing to participate in unethical practices, or simply questioning the status quo. Education and continuous learning are vital in this journey. Understanding the complexities of moral issues requires effort and a willingness to seek out diverse perspectives. The moral compass is not a static tool. It evolves as we gain new insights and deepen our understanding of the world. By remaining open to growth and learning, we strengthen our ability to navigate complex ethical challenges with clarity and conviction. Taking small, intentional actions is another key step in reclaiming the moral compass. Grand gestures and sweeping changes are inspiring, but morality is built on the accumulation of everyday choices. Whether it's speaking up when witnessing wrongdoing, choosing fairness over personal gain, or simply treating others with kindness and respect, these small acts contribute to a culture of integrity. Each decision to act in alignment with our values reinforces the direction of our moral compass and sets an example for others to follow. This process also involves embracing accountability, not only for our actions, but also for their ripple effects. The choices we make do not exist in isolation. They influence the people and systems around us. And recognizing this interconnectedness reminds us of the power we hold to create positive change or to perpetuate harm. Taking responsibility for these outcomes ensures that we remain vigilant in aligning our actions with our ethical principles. Reclaiming the moral compass is not about achieving perfection. It is about striving for consistency, self-awareness, and a commitment to doing better with each decision. It is about recognizing that morality is a practice, a daily effort to choose what is right over what is easy, to act with empathy and courage, and to remain steadfast in the face of challenges. Each of us has the capacity to influence the world through our choices, and by reclaiming our moral compass, we can ensure that this influence is a force for good. Courage and empathy are vital qualities that guide individuals toward moral and ethical action. Together, they form the foundation of integrity, enabling us to confront challenges, make difficult decisions, and connect with others on a deeper level. These qualities are not just admirable traits, they are necessary tools for navigating a world where injustice and self-interest often prevail. Without courage, it becomes easy to succumb to fear or complacency, and without empathy, we lose sight of the shared humanity that binds us. The interplay between these two qualities creates the strength needed to act with conviction and the compassion required to prioritize the well-being of others. Courage is essential because moral action often involves risk. Standing up for what is right can lead to opposition, criticism, or even personal loss. It takes courage to confront these risks and choose integrity over convenience or safety. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty and potential harm, but allowing fear to dictate our actions results in inaction or complicity. Courage is what enables individuals to resist this paralysis and take meaningful steps toward justice and fairness. Courage is required in both big and small moments. It is needed to speak out against systemic injustices, to challenge harmful norms, or to protect those who are vulnerable. But it is also necessary in everyday decisions, admitting when we are wrong, holding ourselves accountable, or making choices that align with our values even when they are inconvenient. These smaller acts of courage may seem insignificant, but they are the building blocks of integrity. Each time we choose courage, we strengthen our ability to act ethically and inspire others to do the same. Empathy, on the other hand, provides the emotional foundation for moral action. It allows us to understand and feel the experiences of others, fostering a sense of connection and shared humanity. Empathy bridges the gap between self-interest and collective responsibility, reminding us that our actions affect not only ourselves but also those around us. Without empathy, it becomes easy to rationalize harmful behavior or ignore the suffering of others. With empathy, we are more likely to consider the broader implications of our choices and prioritize the greater good. Empathy is not just about feeling for others, it is about understanding their perspectives and experiences. This understanding can challenge biases, expand our worldview, and deepen our commitment to fairness and compassion. Empathy pushes us to go beyond superficial judgments and see others as complex, multifaceted individuals. This ability to connect on a deeper level is essential for fostering trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. The combination of courage and empathy is particularly powerful. Courage without empathy can lead to reckless or self-serving actions, while empathy without courage may result in inaction or passive complicity. Together, they create a balance that allows individuals to act with both conviction and compassion. Courage ensures that we are willing to face challenges and opposition, while empathy ensures that our actions are guided by a genuine concern for others. One of the most significant challenges to courage and empathy is the prevalence of apathy and indifference. In a fast-paced and often overwhelming world, it can be tempting to disengage from difficult issues or to focus solely on our own needs. However, apathy and indifference are breeding grounds for immorality. They create a vacuum where injustice and harm can thrive unchecked. Courage and empathy counteract this by motivating us to care and to act. They remind us that we have a responsibility to each other, and that our choices matter. Cultivating courage and empathy is not always easy. Both qualities require practice and intentionality. Courage demands that we confront our fears, step outside of our comfort zones, and take risks. It often involves facing criticism or opposition, which can be intimidating. Empathy, meanwhile, requires us to listen actively, challenge our assumptions, and open ourselves to the experiences of others. It can be uncomfortable to confront the realities of suffering or inequality, but this discomfort is a necessary step toward meaningful action. The rewards of courage and empathy extend beyond individual actions. They create a ripple effect, inspiring others to act with integrity and compassion. When people witness acts of courage, they are reminded of their own capacity for bravery. When they experience empathy, they feel seen and valued, which strengthens their connection to others. These qualities have the power to transform not only individuals but also communities, fostering a culture of accountability, understanding, and mutual support. The need for courage and empathy is particularly urgent in times of conflict or crisis. These are the moments when fear and division threaten to overshadow our shared humanity. Courage and empathy offer a way forward, enabling us to confront challenges with strength and to prioritize the well-being of others. They remind us that even in the face of adversity, we have the power to make choices that reflect our highest values. By cultivating courage and empathy, we equip ourselves to navigate the complexities of moral decision-making. These qualities allow us to confront our fears, challenge injustices, and build connections with others. They remind us that morality is not just about avoiding harm, but about actively contributing to a better world. Each act of courage and empathy strengthens our moral compass and reinforces our commitment to integrity, fairness, and compassion. These qualities are not just ideals to aspire to, they are practices to embody in our daily lives. Morality is not a singular act or an abstract ideal. It is a daily practice that requires continuous reflection, intention, and effort. It is shaped by the choices we make in our everyday lives, from the small interactions with others to the significant decisions that define our character. Morality is not simply about knowing right from wrong. It is about consistently acting in alignment with those principles, even when it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or challenging. This practice demands vigilance, self-awareness, and a willingness to hold ourselves accountable to the values we claim to uphold. The essence of morality lies in the choices we make in ordinary moments. Each day presents countless opportunities to act with integrity, compassion, and fairness. These moments may seem insignificant on their own, but collectively they define who we are and the impact we have on the world around us. A kind word, an honest admission, or a decision to stand up for someone in need can make a meaningful difference. Conversely, a careless comment, a dishonest action, or a decision to look the other way can contribute to harm, even if unintentionally. Practicing morality begins with self-awareness. It requires us to be mindful of our thoughts, words, and actions and to consider whether they align with our values. This awareness often involves questioning our assumptions and confronting uncomfortable truths about ourselves. For example, we may realize that we have acted out of self-interest or that we have allowed fear or apathy to prevent us from doing what we know is right. Acknowledging these moments is not a sign of failure. It is an essential step in the process of growth and improvement. Accountability is a crucial component of morality as a daily practice. It involves taking responsibility for the consequences of our actions, both intended and unintended. This means acknowledging when we have made mistakes, apologizing when we have caused harm, and making an effort to repair the damage. It also means learning from these experiences and striving to do better in the future. Accountability is not about perfection, but about a commitment to integrity and a willingness to learn and grow. Empathy plays a vital role in moral practice. By putting ourselves in others' shoes, we gain a deeper understanding of their experiences, needs, and perspectives. This understanding allows us to act with greater compassion and to make choices that prioritize the well-being of others. Empathy reminds us that our actions have an impact beyond ourselves and that we have a responsibility to consider the ripple effects of our behavior. It also helps us to connect with others on a human level, fostering trust, cooperation, and mutual respect. Courage is equally important in the daily practice of morality. Acting ethically often requires us to face challenges, risks, or opposition. It may mean speaking out against injustice, resisting the pressure to conform, or making sacrifices for the sake of what is right. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. It is what allows us to prioritize our values over convenience or self-interest and to remain steadfast in the face of adversity. Practicing morality also involves making conscious choices about the systems and environments we participate in. Many of our daily actions are shaped by societal norms, institutional structures, and cultural narratives. While these influences can sometimes align with ethical principles, they can also perpetuate harm, inequality, or injustice. To act morally, We must critically examine these systems and choose to challenge or resist those that contradict our values. This might involve advocating for change, supporting ethical practices, or refusing to participate in activities that cause harm. Continuous learning is another essential aspect of morality as a daily practice. Understanding the complexities of ethical issues requires effort and a willingness to seek out diverse perspectives. Morality is not a fixed state, but a dynamic process that evolves as we gain new insights and deepen our understanding of the world. By remaining open to growth and education, we strengthen our ability to navigate ethical challenges with clarity and conviction. The practice of morality is not about grand gestures or rare acts of heroism. It is about the accumulation of small, intentional choices made consistently over time. Each decision to act with kindness, honesty, or fairness contributes to a broader culture of integrity. These choices may seem insignificant in isolation, but together they create a foundation of trust, respect, and compassion that strengthens the social fabric. Morality as a daily practice also involves resilience. There will be times when we fall short of our ideals or face setbacks in our efforts to act ethically. These moments can be discouraging, but they are also opportunities for growth. Resilience allows us to learn from our mistakes, to recommit to our values, and to continue striving for improvement. It reminds us that morality is not about being perfect, but about making a consistent effort to do what is right. Ultimately, morality is a practice that requires intentionality, effort, and perseverance. It is not something we achieve once and for all, but something we must cultivate every day through our choices and actions. By committing to this practice, we create a life guided by integrity, empathy, and courage, and we contribute to a world that reflects the values we hold dear. Each act of moral practice, no matter how small, strengthens our character and inspires others to do the same. Through this daily effort, we build a foundation of trust, respect, and compassion that benefits both ourselves and the wider community.